The night was quiet, but inside Jack's room, the light of the computer screen flickered against his pale face. He had been working late for days, building the foundation of his dream, a new company he hoped to launch soon. His fingers moved across the keyboard. Even as beads of sweat formed on his forehead and his breath became shallow. His body was giving up, but his mind refused to. "I just need to finish this part," he whispered to himself. Hours passed. The night deepened. Jack didn't notice how his vision blurred or how the ache in his back turned into chills running down his spine. He ignored it all. Morning crept in. His mother gently opened the door, expecting to find her son asleep. Instead, she froze. Jack sat slumped, his skin unnaturally pale, lips dry, and a sheen of sweat coating his entire body. She rushed to him and placed a hand on his forehead. It burned like fire. "Jack, you have a fever," she cried out. But Jack forced a weak smile. "I'm fine, Mom, just a little tired." She saw through it. She always did. Behind that smile was a body pushed beyond its limit, and a son who didn't want her to worry. His mother's hands trembled as she grabbed her phone, dialing with urgency. "Dr. Thoa, please, it's Jack. He's burning up, and he won't admit how bad it is. Can you come right away?" Moments later, the front door creaked open again. This time it was Dr. Thoa, breathless from rushing over. She entered Jack's room and gasped. His lips had turned pale. His head lolled slightly to the side. Even unconscious, his body was sweating, fighting something deeper than exhaustion. His mother stood nearby, hands clenched, eyes glassy. "He never gets sick. Never. Something's wrong." As the doctor began the drip, a second pair of footsteps pounded through the hallway. "To Tien," his mother called out. Jack's girlfriend had returned, bag still in her hands from the early morning market. The moment she saw him lying there, weak, lifeless, a tube in his arm, she dropped everything. Her breath caught in her throat, her eyes widened in shock. "Jack, what happened to you?" she whispered, voice trembling. She reached for his hand, warm and damp with fever. No reply, just the slow, steady drip of medicine and the faint buzz of the ceiling fan. Everything else, time, noise, worries, blurred. In that moment, all that remained was the ache of helplessness, the weight of watching someone you love fall right before your eyes. The room had never felt this quiet before. The steady rhythm of the drip echoed like a ticking clock, each drop marking the weight of time that had slowed down. Jack lay motionless, wrapped in a blanket of fever and fatigue. His face was still flushed, and though the fluids had started to take effect, he remained weak, fragile in a way no one had ever seen him before. Tien knelt beside him, her fingers gently brushing the hair away from his damp forehead. Her eyes shimmered, not from fear, but from the helplessness of seeing someone strong fall apart. Just yesterday, he was laughing with her about silly things, carrying baskets from the market, telling her to take breaks. And now this. She stood up quietly and walked to the kitchen. There, his mother had just finished heating a pot of porridge. Her hands, once so steady, now moved with silent urgency. Tien didn't say a word. She simply took over, adding a pinch of ginger, a touch of salt, small things to help him sweat it out, to help him breathe. When she returned to the room, she sat beside Jack again, holding the warm bowl. "Jack," she whispered, softly, "I know you hate being taken care of, but you need this now." She lifted the spoon and gently fed him, one slow bite at a time. It wasn't just food, it was a promise. That no matter how tired he was, no matter how much weight he carried on his shoulders, she would be there. Quietly, lovingly. Jack's eyelids fluttered. He looked at her, not fully awake, not quite asleep, but in that in-between place where emotions speak louder than words. He tried to speak, but all that came out was a whisper. "Thank you." Tien smiled through the tears she didn't want him to see. "Don't thank me," she said. "Just rest. That's all I want." From the corner, his mother watched, her heart swelling with a strange mix of sadness and gratitude. The boy she raised was now loved by someone who cared deeply, someone who knew how to be strong when he couldn't. Outside, the sun continued to blaze, but inside that small room, warmth came from something else. Not from fever, but from love. By late afternoon, the worst had passed. The fever had broken, and Jack, though still pale, opened his eyes fully for the first time since morning. The fog in his mind began to clear. As his vision adjusted, the first thing he saw was Tien sitting beside him, dozing off with her head resting against the wall, arms still gently folded across her lap. He blinked slowly, then turned his head. His mother stood nearby, folding a towel, her eyes swollen from worry, yet now lit with a quiet relief. "Mama's still here," Jack said hoarsely. His voice was weak, but it was enough to stir them both. Tien's eyes snapped open. She leaned in close, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're awake, finally." Jack offered a faint smile. "Sorry. I scared you." She shook her head, brushing his cheek lightly. "You scared all of us, Jack. Why didn't you tell me you weren't feeling well?" "I didn't want you to worry. There's so much going on, and I thought I could handle it." His mother stepped in, placing a warm hand on his shoulder. "My son," she said softly, "you don't have to carry everything alone. Even the strongest need rest." Jack swallowed hard, his eyes welling up. It wasn't just the fever leaving his body, it was the weight of holding too much in for too long. I saw you both sitting here, waiting. I don't think I've ever felt this loved, he whispered. Tien reached for his hand and held it tightly. Because you were loved. You don't need to earn that by overworking yourself. You just need to let us be there for moments like this. A silence settled between them, not awkward, but comforting. It was the kind of silence that said, "We'll get through this. Together." Outside, the sun had softened. The streets buzzed with evening sounds. But in that little room, Jack found a peace he hadn't known in years. He was still tired. His body still ached. But this time, he wasn't afraid. He knew that when he closed his eyes again, he wouldn't be alone. He was healing not just from illness, but from the quiet burden of being strong all the time. The next morning arrived not with urgency, but with lightness. A breeze crept through the curtains, carrying the scent of early dew and sun-warmed leaves. Birds chirped outside, and for the first time in days, Jack felt no rush to get out of bed. Instead, he simply lay there, breathing, listening, existing. Tien stepped in quietly, carrying a fresh glass of water. "You're awake early," she smiled. Jack nodded. "I feel clearer today. Lighter." She sat down beside him, a familiar rhythm now. "You scared me. You scared all of us. But you're here, and that's what matters." Jack turned to face her. "I've always believed I needed to stay strong for everyone. For my mom, for you, for the dreams I chase. But I realize now strength isn't about never breaking. It's about knowing when to stop, and letting someone hold you for a while." Tien nodded, her eyes soft. "That's what love is for." Later that morning, Jack walked out into the garden with slow but steady steps. The sun kissed his face. The grass felt soft beneath his feet. His mother was harvesting vegetables nearby. She turned and smiled when she saw him. "You're finally up," she teased gently. He laughed, a real laugh, the kind that shakes off shadows. "I missed breakfast duty. Don't worry. We saved your spot." They sat together, mother, son, and the woman who loved him, in a quiet corner of their simple yard, eating warm porridge and sipping tea. There were still deadlines ahead, challenges to face, and work waiting, but they would come in time. Today was not for rushing. Today was for breathing, for healing, for remembering that even the strongest need moments to be held. And as Jack looked at the two most important women in his life, he knew this was what truly mattered.